I wish you had your guitar here. That would be fun.
Wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But who would play it?
Welcome to MsMojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the top 10 actors who were almost cast in Friends.
Oh, that's okay. I'm fine.
She said, well, the part that I want you for is named Chandler Bing.
Well, believe me, I don't want to get hurt either. I'm being smart about this.
For this list, we'll be looking at actors who almost achieved stardom in one of the biggest shows of all time, or were rumored to have been considered for the cast. But it just wasn't their day, their week, their month, or their year. Let us know if you think anyone on the list would have been a better choice to be one of the 6 friends. Number 10. Leah Remini, Monica.
No, I am not alone. Joey's here. What do you mean, Joey who?
Remini made it to the final rounds of auditions for the role of Monica, and while she might have been feeling good about her chances, that all changed as she walked out of her final audition and passed an actor walking in. That actor was Courtney Cox, and according to Remini, as she passed Courtney, she knew that she was going to be Monica. And she was right, of course.
I am always the hostess.
Fun fact. Cox had initially been offered the role of Rachel, but asked to audition for Monica instead.
Did you all audition for the roles that you wound up getting?
I was asked to play, audition for Monica, yes, and her, Rachel. And I think we both just thought the other was better for the other part.
Remini, as fans will remember, did appear in one episode in season 1. And a few years later, she was cast in The King of Queens, which wasn't quite the mega hit Friends was, but was still a big success.
Okay, I will show you.
Number 9. Craig Bierko, Chandler. It's almost impossible to imagine anyone besides Matthew Perry as Chandler delivering all those jokes.
Joke.
Joke, joke.
But it almost didn't happen. The thing is that although Perry was the producer's first choice, he was connected to a pilot for another show, and they weren't sure he was going to be able to get out of the deal and do Friends.
In which I had to sort out the aliens' luggage, and that was basically the show. Wow. And so then a script came out called, at the time it was called Friends Like Us, and it was hilarious and great, and there was this part that was perfect for me.
One of the executives' other choices was Craig Bierko, who Perry actually helped train for the part. But in the end, Perry was able to get out of that pilot contract, and the part of Chandler was his. And Friends fans couldn't be any happier about it.
I'm not great at the advice. Can I interest you in a sarcastic comment? Some cheese.
And Craig got to, among other things, date Carrie Bradshaw.
No, they're great. I'm just trying to keep up.
Number 8. Elzabeth Berkley, Rachel. Did you know that 2 former Saved by the Bell cast members auditioned for the role of Rachel?
On second thought, just carry the sign.
Tiffany Thiessen auditioned, but was too young for the part. She turned 20 the year the show premiered, whereas Aniston turned 25 in 1994. Then there was Berkley. She very much wanted the part, but she just wasn't quite the right fit, and didn't make it through the audition process. However, the next year, she would star in the critically panned but now cult classic Showgirls.
What's that? More wisdom? I know that.
Which, at least for a little while, got more press than Rachel's hairdo.
Well, then, couldn't she have just copied my haircut?
Number 7. Mitchell Whitfield, Ross.
Give me another chance, okay?
In showbiz, sometimes you just have to roll with the punches, because actors can end up succeeding, even if not in the way they'd originally hoped for.
Now this may hurt. No.
And that's what happened to Mitchell Whitfield, who was well on his way to being cast as Ross, until David Schwimmer snagged the gig almost at the last minute.
The reason she walked out on Barry is simply that she didn't love him, which incidentally worked out pretty well for me.
Now that's tough to swallow, but all was not lost, as Whitfield clearly made a great impression, and the producers were keen to get him on the show, and involved with Rachel anyway.
See, about a month ago, I wanted to hurt you. More than I've ever wanted to hurt anyone in my life. And I'm an orthodontist.
And they did, with Whitfield appearing in numerous episodes as Barry Farber, the orthodontist who Rachel ends up abandoning at the altar. Better Mr. Potato Head than no role at all.
I always knew he looked familiar, but...
Number 6. Janeane Garofalo, Monica.
Wouldn't there be some kind of reward for that?
Courtney Cox was so good as Monica, you would think the part was written for her. But as it turns out, it was actually written for Janeane Garofalo.
I'm sorry, apparently I've opened the door to the past.
One of the show's creators, David Crane, has said that they had Garofalo's voice in their head when they originally were writing the role of Monica, i.e., darker, edgier, snarkier. Maybe they'd just seen reality bites.
It's like I'm watching it on some crappy show like Melrose Place or some shit, right? And I'm the new character.
However, while that was their initial idea, after seeing Cox audition, they decided to go a different way, feeling that Courtney's Monica would be more audience-friendly.
No, come on, wait, stop it. Okay, to Monica.
To Monica.
Number 5. Jon Cryer, Chandler.
Here's the point, Annie. I'm not particularly concerned with whether or not you like me. Because I live to like you, and I can't like you anymore.
In Pretty in Pink, Ducky's love for his hot best friend is never realized. Had he gotten the role of Chandler, he could have finally ended up with the beautiful best friend. But his chances got lost in the mail. As the story goes, Jon was working in the UK at the time and got a call from executive producer Marta Kaufman, who said that she wanted him to audition for the role of Chandler Bing.
She said, well, the part that I want you for is named Chandler Bing.
So, Cryer met with the London casting director and filmed his audition. But according to Jon, the package with the tape in it got held up at customs and never got to producers in time.
Rigid and inflexible. Don't you think that's a little redundant?
Number 4. Ellen DeGeneres, Phoebe. The mythology surrounding this one is that DeGeneres was the producer's first choice to play Phoebe Buffay, but that Ellen turned it down. However, in recent years, a competing narrative has come out claiming that that just isn't true. And it looks like that might just be right. First off, DeGeneres' sitcom Ellen premiered in March of 1994, 6 months before Friends.
Remember, it's shampoo, rinse, repeat.
Considering the individual show's creation and casting timelines, this might have been possible, but seems unlikely that Ellen could have been considered.
Lather, rinse, repeat, and lather, rinse, repeat, and lather, rinse, repeat, as needed.
But perhaps the most impressive evidence came in an interview Ellen did with Howard Stern in 2015, in which she said she never turned down the role and was never even up for it.
I think that yours is a question with many possible answers.
Would you care to venture one?
Would you care to venture one?
Number 3. Jane Krakowski, Rachel. Jane has said,
I like almost every actor in the world, auditioned for Friends.
But she has also said that the process didn't get very far, and she didn't even get a call back. While it might have sucked at the time, it meant that she was available to star in Ally McBeal just a few years later.
I like my job.
And a few years after that show ended, she landed on 30 Rock, one of the most critically acclaimed shows of this century.
Because I will be employing the method of acting.
She followed that with another great show, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt. So all good.
So, what's the hardest thing in the world for a trophy wife to do? Lose the jerk but keep the perks. Trademark me.
Number 2. Jon Favreau, Chandler.
I gotta go, so I'll see you guys later.
Okay, you're our age.
In 1996, Swingers was released, starring 2 then relatively unknown actors, Vince Vaughn and Jon Favreau. It made over $4 million at the box office and has continued to grow in popularity over the years.
We should just hang out and see where it goes, because it's nice and no expectation.
But imagine if the film had starred one of the actors from the mega hit cultural phenomenon Friends that had premiered on NBC just a year and a half earlier. Well, it could have been, had Favreau accepted the role of Chandler that was offered to him.
I don't want you to get hurt, because I kind of like you.
Well, believe me, I don't want to get hurt either. I'm being smart about this.
But he turned it down. Although, like Chandler, Jon also got to kiss Courtney Cox when he played Monica's millionaire boyfriend Pete for a 6-episode arc in season 3.
And if you don't have a good time, I'll give you 10 grand, we call it even.
Before we unveil our top pick, here are a few honorable mentions. Vince Vaughn, Joey. Imagine Swingers with 2 stars from Friends.
I want you to be like the guy in the rated R movie, you know? The guy you're not sure whether or not you like yet. You're not sure where he's coming from, okay? You're a bad man. You're a bad man. You're a bad man.
Téa Leoni, Rachel, ended up doing The Naked Truth instead.
Okay, cool. And that's going well, I hope? Hey, you know what? Maybe you know my ex.
Kathy Griffin, Phoebe. This role would have gotten Kathy on the A-list.
So it suddenly occurs to me that this is my moment to live out my dream and actually be on the hills.
Nancy McKeon, Monica. Auditioned strong, but just didn't get cast.
I'm gonna go to the library and hit the books. Oh, I know. It's great meeting y'all, though. Yeah. Bye-bye. You look fantastic. So long. I'm gonna go.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications. Number 1. Eric McCormack, Ross.
I'm teaching you manners, you frickin' Neanderthal!
Well. Twitter celebrity sighting. The West Side curmudgeon is here.
I love him. He hates the things we hate and tweets about it.
Back in the late 80s and early 90s, when McCormack was just getting started in the business, he was mostly getting roles in dramas and TV movies. He decided he needed to start, as he put it, quote, pulling at this other sort of funnier, lighter side.
Change everything about your personality.
So, he began auditioning for everything he could find, which included Friends. Needless to say, he didn't get the part.
Oh, wake up!
But a few years later, he did join Ross and the gang on Thursday night's must-see TV lineup, after he was cast as Will in Will and Grace. We can't imagine anyone else as Ross, or anyone else as Will. So, everything worked out the way it was meant to.
You can't get mad at me for something I didn't tell you that you didn't ask.
You can't get mad at her for not asking something that you should have told her without having to ask.
Do you agree with our picks? Check out this other recent clip from MsMojo. And be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.